Hello everyone, we're gonna look at the patch 11.1 notes, and we have all the specs that before I had rated all of them and how I felt about them that I never released. So we're gonna look at all the changes and see if it's changed.
Well, we're gonna look at them now and see if it's changed at all. So your bottom least favorite, your most hated spec, Resto Shaman.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still believe it's the worst thing to ever be created?
I think it has too many buttons and it's trying to do too much all at once. So I think out of all the healers, yeah, it's probably my least favorite.
Okay, and then we have Boomkin. How do you feel about Boomkin?
Boomkin's just boring.
You don't like your eclipses? Because they got rid of them. They got rid of eclipses this expansion.
I think I made this
So
list before the expansion came out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what does Boomkin even do now?
You choose either single target or AoE, and you get rid of the other eclipse.
Brother,
Celestial Alignment does a deep breath now, which is super cool.
What about mushrooms? Do we get mushrooms?
Who cares? All right, Elemental Shaman. Is it still the best of the worst?
You know, I think I would have put Elemental Shaman a bit higher up.
Yeah.
I don't mind it all that much, but it still has the same issue of Resto and Enhancement, which we'll get to, of too many fucking buttons.
Okay. Disc Priest, how do you feel about it?
Honestly, I don't like the whole deal damage to heal, because I feel like in an oh shit situation, there's not much you can do.
Well, okay, is this a problem with Atonement, or is this a problem with the concept of dealing damage to heal? Because there are two other healers that deal damage to heal, and they're perfectly fine in high stress situations.
What are you talking about?
Mistweaver and Holy Paladin.
Holy Paladin doesn't deal damage to heal.
Yes, in their wings, every attack they do heals in AoE.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Mistweaver either. Where did I even put Mistweaver?
You put Mistweaver in B tier.
I put it above Holy Priest. Huh.
You sure did?
Yeah, I need to redo this tier list.
We'll do that at the end of the video.
Oh, okay.
Well, unless this video goes for longer than like 30 or 40 minutes, then we'll make that its own video.
Yippee! Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of this priest. I like Holy better.
Okay. Preservation Evoker. Now that you don't have to be an Evoker to be a Drakthir. I'm sure Evoker has gone down heavily on a lot of tier lists. How do you feel about empowering your healing spells so that they do less healing over time, but more upfront healing? How do you feel about Life Bloom and turning back time to heal damage that they took before?
I think it's neat in concept, but yeah, I think it's fine after playing it for a little bit, but I only played it in leveling, so
okay.
I don't truly know how I feel about it at max level.
Any healer in Mythic Plus higher than a 2, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that doesn't matter. It's just about how you feel about the buttons and the like lore and play style.
I think I'd probably bump it up to a B tier.
Well, we'll do that at the end.
Yeah, I know.
Resto Druid.
God. Resto Druid requires you to know the ins and outs of all of the mechanics of every single fight, so that you can predict how much healing you have to put on people. And I don't know. It just sounds really stressful, and also I just don't really like Druid.
I disagree with nearly everything you said. A Resto Druid is a proactive healer, but it's not that proactive. Resto Druid is a proactive healer that is built towards being a reactive healer. The difference between a proactive and reactive healer, I know, it's stupid. That's why I don't like it. The difference between a proactive healer and a reactive healer, back in the day, Discipline Priest was the proactive healer, and Holy Priest was the reactive healer. Discipline Priest puts shields on the target so that they take less damage. They give them mitigation so that they take less damage. That's proactive. So if you know the mechanics and the tank busters are about to come out, you put a shield, you put down a bubble, and then they take less damage and the shield absorbs a lot of it. That was proactive. Holy Priest, you have a lot of on-demand big heals, so they take that tank buster. You didn't have the ability to put a shield on them as well as a disc priest, or put as much mitigation on them as well as a disc priest, and then your big heal would heal their health bar from where it was to full. So a proactive healer deals with mechanics before they happen. A reactive healer deals with mechanics after they happen. Problem is now, World of Warcraft has become Dance Dance Revolution, where everyone has 30 buttons, 20 of them are defensives, the other 10 are buffs, but because having buffs that didn't deal damage was boring to people, they've now made all of the buffs into primary rotation buttons, so you have to be hitting them in order to deal damage and get the damage buff. So everything has like 50 buttons that you have to be hitting at all times. They've done this to healers as well. So reactive healer and proactive healer no longer exist as very distinct segments of healers. All proactive healers now have very reactive buttons as well, because they have to deal with that situation, because Mythic Plus only has one healer at all times, and now Mythic Plus has to scale as high as Mythic rating. So every healer has to be able to be proactive in order to give their tank more external cooldowns in order to reduce the damage they take, but also reactive to heal the DPS to full health after they stood in a swirly that takes them from 100% health to 1% health. So all of those nice and clean descriptions no longer exist. Resto Druid still exists as a reactive healer in a world where being a proactive healer is a necessity. So everyone will always talk about, oh, Resto Druid's heal HPS is so high, it needs to be nerfed, it's so high. But they forget they only have like 2 externals of like bark skin and something else I'm not remembering. So yeah, Resto Druid exists in a world of healers that doesn't exist anymore. That's why Preservation Evoker has like 7 different, oh yeah, put this on your target, if they take damage while this is on them, they just heal it. Everything has to be proactive and reactive and blah 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 blah.
Man, you sound really tense about this.
Okay.
You're very...
I don't like current World of Warcraft.
I can't think of the word. Yeah. So, Guardian Druid.
Guardian Druid.
I think the big thing of why I don't like Druid is that I can't see my character. I can't set up transmogs. You're just the animal at all times, and there's so little customization for it. But
still at this point, really? You can be like 30 different bears, and you can set a glyph to transform between those 30 bears.
And if you have 5 of any of each of the what do you call it? Transmog groups. That's an infinite number of possibilities.
What?
You're not going to get this because you're a feral druid. I almost called you a furry. I'm so sorry. Anyways, I don't want to focus on that right now. Guardian Druid.
Boring.
Even after all this time, it still just feels like a worse Prot Warrior. The only thing it has that is different is it has frenzied regeneration, so it can actually heal itself, versus Prot Warrior is just, how much of this damage can I mitigate?
You're entirely wrong.
Okay.
Prot Warrior is the Disc Priest of healers. Their entire health bar is about 70% absorb shield and 30% their actual health. Shield wall and that kind of stuff is dog shit on Prot Warrior because of how good they've made Ignore Pain, how good they've made all of your passives interact with Ignore Pain and just keep adding to that absorb shield. The only thing they have that's not shield or absorb pain that everything works with is Last Stand. No. What's the rallying cry? The thing that buffs everyone's max health and heals them for that
current
that they
and
have.
Max health.
Yeah. Yeah, they are entirely built into Ignore Pain, which just makes them entirely a shield health bar, and they have a bit of like spell reflect and stuff like that. Whereas Guardian Druid has none of
Has nothing for magic damage.
It has nothing for magic damage, and also I was about to say it has a no absorb shield, but that's a lie. They have like 7 different talents that all make it so they randomly proc like a 2% absorb shield. So they do have absorb shields. It's just a fact of like when you're playing with a prot warrior, 70% of their health is an absorb shield, so they'll only be taking 30% of each hit as their actual health. So it's pretty easy to keep their health bar steady. Whereas with a guardian druid, they have next to no way of actually changing the amount of damage they take outside of Iron Fur, which gives them armor and other defensives like survival instincts and stuff like that, which they can reduce the cooldown on. So yeah, what prot warrior was and what you're talking about is what guardian druid is, and prot warrior is nothing like what you described it as.
Okay.
All right.
Isn't this about my opinions on everything?
Yeah, but if you're wrong about something, I'm going to point it out.
Oh, okay. So I have... Never mind. Yeah, no,
also, Guardian Druid is just not fun to play. Like, that's what I was trying to say before.
Yeah.
Like, you literally just have 5 buttons, and all of your talents are just passives on top of those buttons, as I was trying to say.
Then why didn't you say it?
I did. Guardian Druid is incredibly boring. And it just has 70 different passives that all proc off of your abilities that give you random absorb shields, random free casts of Iron Fur, and blah, 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 blah. And that's just all you do with it.
Guardian Druid also has a lot of, they heal themselves, and if they either don't need healing, or it's just, yeah, you also heal other people as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Blood Death Knight has had this issue for a long time of, on the initial pull, they are so fucking squishy. They've tried to change it where, like, your long distance cast gives you 2 charges of Bone Shield. That's not enough. So most of the time you have to start by pre-casting with Dancing Rune Weapon to give yourself 5 charges. And even then, like, sure, you're a bit more tanky because you have the 5 stacks, but most of their stuff just comes from spamming Death Strike healing them, and also giving them a shield, and then overhealing gives them a shield, and it just...
Are you saying you don't like the gameplay, or you think it's bad?
A little bit of both.
What's the best tank in the game right now?
We can search that up.
No, I'm asking you what you feel like is the best tank in the game.
Paladin.
Wrong.
We'll check this. Let's see. Tank.
Yes, you're wrong.
For Mythic Plus, it's Paladin.
Blood Death Knight is the best tank in the game, bar none.
Except in Mythic Plus.
Yeah, but that's not the point I'm making.
They're the best tank in Raid, and the worst in Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
That is what I meant. Sorry, I was thinking more of Mythic Plus than I was about raiding.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, Blood Death Knight is starting to get button bloat. Why do they need the execute? Why do they need just 20 different buttons? It doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. Button bloat is a problem. As I've said, it's DDR. Everything needs 5 different abilities in order to get your old buffs, because having buffs just give you a buff is boring now. But there's also the problem of, if you're playing Blood Death Knight in a Mythic Plus dungeon, all of those buttons are almost disconnected because of the fact that they're all meant to roll into each other and build up into a ball, making you an unkillable juggernaut that is a Blood Death Knight. Whereas in Mythic Plus, nothing rolls into each other because every pull is a separate instance and none of your cooldowns are going to roll over in the correct way, so it feels worse.
Yeah. A lot of classes have button bloat. My whole thing is I have everything bound 1 through 6, R, F, V, Q, middle mouse, and E. So I have 12 buttons that I can all hit pretty easily, and then I have a shift and control modifier for each of them. Shift buttons are typically like interrupts, stuns, shields, things like that. And control is like, I don't use it often, but often enough that I don't need it like off to the side. So like res, summon your pet, Path of Frost, shit like that. if I can't fit my main rotation on 1 through 6 RFE Q middle mouse E, I feel it has too many buttons. If I can't fit all of that with defensives and other stuff that I need to constantly use on the main and with the shift modifier, so 24 buttons, it's button bloat. And Death Knight has that on every spec. Not every spec needs to have the execute. Not every spec needs to have Dancing Rune Weapon, which they did. Oh, I put that in the wrong trash can. My bad, dog. And yeah, Blood Death Knight just has way too many buttons. But yeah, we're spending too much time on every
Yeah, this
class.
is gonna be its own video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Destruction Warlock, I've actually warmed up to, because for a while, Affliction was really good at the start of... What is this expansion called?
War Within.
War Within. Affliction was really good at the start. It was it was the best Warlock spec and one of the best out of all the DPS. And then as people got gear, it just didn't scale as well. It just kept falling behind more and more and more, to the point where it was right behind Augmentation Evoker. Or right above Augmentation Evoker. If the support class, or support spec, can't do more damage... hold on, sorry. If a regular spec is barely doing more damage than the support one, their personal damage...
Yeah, you have to explain the difference between raid damage and personal damage, because that's not a concept common in World of Warcraft.
Fucking Christ. Augmentation Evoker, they buff their allies to make them do more damage, and you can see in logs of, like, they have their own personal damage that they are dealing, and then the damage that is being... or the damage that they are adding to other people. So you'll see, like, 2 bars. One is... decent in length, and then another one of, this is how much damage other people are gaining because of me. But looking at the personal damage, Augmentation is the lowest, of course, their support. Affliction Warlock, right above that, by like 1%. It was doing horribly. So I switched to Destruction, I tried Demonology. It was a bit too busy in raid because of all the movement you have to do, and it just didn't feel good. So I switched to Destruction, and honestly, Destruction wasn't all that bad. You have a button that you can spam while you're moving, so you're still doing good damage. If you can stand still, you can just line up a bunch of stuff. You get a lot of stuff that's either instant cast or reduced cast time. So Destruction is definitely going to get moved up.
Okay.
So the one that I'm
Frost
blocking,
Mage.
that creature's also blocking, is Frost Mage. I liked Frost Mage in Dragonflight. I thought it was fun. It was a neat little thing to tinker around with. But it seems like it doesn't know what it wants to be. So they keep giving them old spells back. They take them away. They give them new spells. They take them away. They combine spells, and it's just... it's a fucking chimera of a spec right now. And leveling it just doesn't feel good to play.
Frost Mage is balanced around its AoE potential, so its single target is dog shit. And the problem with their single target being dog shit is because all of their spells that are single targets scale into AoE. So like if you buff Icicle's damage because you want them to do more damage in single target, guess what? They also designed like 3 different talents that make Icicle damage do AoE damage. Mm-hmm. So if Icicle does more damage, their AoE damage is better, and they're an AoE spec. So they become broken in AoE.
They just need to do what they do for Devastation Evoker, where if it only hits one target, it does more damage. Easy fix. But, I don't know.
And then so much of their, like, class design, or spec design is built around Frozen Orb and Blizzard.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind Frozen Orb.
I hate it.
I know that they can't do this now, but I like, in, like, Classic and Cataclysm, where Blizzard, Rain of Fire, things like that are channeled. I think that's neat. But they can't really do that now. And you can't really channel anything except for, you know, Drain Life, Drain Soul, Mind Flay.
Mind Flay still exists? I thought they got rid of it.
You can choose between Mind Flay or Mind Spike.
Void Torrent.
Void Torrent is its own spell.
Yeah,
Void Torrent is channeled.
Yeah.
There are a few spells, but what I mean is, like, a spell like use. Blizzard, where you would channel it for, like, you know, just 6 to 10 seconds. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's too busy, so everything, if it is channeled, 1 to 2 seconds.
Marksman Hunter.
I've just never really been that big of a fan of Hunter in general. That's why all 3 specs are in C tier. Hunter is supposed to be a quote-unquote caster, but very mobile. But their main damaging ability of aim shot... Is it aim shot? Yeah, aim shot. You have to stand still. And there's so much in it of when you cast aim shot, you get an aim shot at a reduced cast time, or aim shot does more damage, and blah, 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 blah. It is the least mobile hunter class. And one, they don't get a pet. Well, okay, they can have a pet, but it is better if they don't have one because of Lone Wolf. And I know people will argue, like, well, if you do use a pet, it's only like a 0.2% DPS loss.
Hey, people in the future, yes, this is very funny. Thank you for listening. All of this has been very funny. Oh, yeah, everything that you've talked about for most of the specs, you'll find out. It's very funny.
Okay. But yeah, Marksman Hunter just isn't very fun for me. I want it to do better. Is that Subtlety Rogue?
Yes, it is.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Why does it look like... Why is it just a slightly different survival hunter? Anyways. Subtlety Rogue honestly isn't as bad as it used to be. It still has to spam Shadow Dance and all of its stuff to...
That is one of the only classes that has buttons, it is the only class that has cooldowns that don't deal damage and just give you a buff.
Yeah.
Shadow Dance, Mark of the End, Shadow Blades.
All those things. It just buffs their damage, which is neat in concept, but there's so many buttons to hit.
It's just button bloat.
Yeah, it's button bloat.
It's just a boring spec with button bloat.
Yeah. It does good damage, and it's, you know, really good in PvP. It's just not that fun.
It's just boring and button bloat, yeah.
Yeah.
Survival Hunter.
I think I might be biased because I really liked it in Dragonflight. Was it? No, Shadowlands, where it was just focused around throwing the bombs. I really enjoyed the... What's that called?
Wildfire Bomb.
Wildfire Bomb. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was neat. I like the concept of it, like, you were fighting with your pet up close and personal, and you do a lot of, like, tag team stuff with your pet. I think that's cool. The only problem is, it's the black sheep of the hunter family. Much like Frost Mage, Affliction Warlock, Feral Druid,
It's a spec in a class that doesn't want it. Yeah, we get black sheep. Yeah,
it's a spec in a class that doesn't want it. So it typically lags behind the other specs, and they just don't really seem to care all that much about it.
And when it is good, which it has been for the past 2 expansions, people hate it.
Yeah. I think I'd probably move.
We'll do that after this. This is going to be its own video.
I just don't enjoy Hunter all that much.
Okay.
I'm not really sure why. Ret Paladin. Ret.
All I have to say about Ret is there's a talent on their class tree that reduces the duration of their 1 movement speed increase or divine steed in order to reduce the cooldown by 20%.
Yeah.
It's
reduce the duration by 50% to reduce the cooldown by 20.
I hate it.
It doesn't make any sense. It'd be better if it was reversed.
I hate it.
Red has gotten a lot of tweaks and reworks.
They got rid of button bloat.
They did get rid of button bloat.
In the worst ways possible.
They turned it into the baby spec, though.
Well, it's always been the baby spec.
Baby's first Paladin. And, you know, it certainly exists.
It certainly exists. Alright, Enhancement Shaman.
I liked Enhancement Shaman back in Cataclysm, where they still had totems, and, like, they would place 4 totems at the same time, and...
Are you talking about, oh god, there was a point in, like, either Legion or BFA, where there was the talent that just said, like, hit this button, drop 4 totems.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I like that.
Ugh.
I liked putting down the totems and just buffing myself and other people.
When they got Windfury Totem back in Shadowlands, I hated it. I hated having to put down Windfury Totem every single pull.
That's the thing, though, is that doing it, putting down your totems every pull is fine, because the totems last, 5 minutes. Windfury Totem, having to put it down every 30 seconds is insane.
Windfury Totem lasted the same. You just had to move it because its range was like 40 yards.
We'll look it up later. I'm pretty sure I'm correct, though. You had to use it a lot.
Every pull, yes.
I don't like how Enhancement Shaman, you still have to use, Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning.
Maelstrom Weapon is entirely the spec identity, so you're just a melee elemental shaman.
Yeah. So you charge up your Maelstrom and you spend it on Lightning Bolt.
For 5 minutes.
That's Ascension.
Totem provides 10% members within 50 yards. It lasts for...
That's Ascension.
Okay.
Just go to Wowhead and look up the old versions of it. Anyways, it's fine. It just has button bloat because it still uses, like, all of, oh wow, for 1 minute. That's crazy.
Okay.
God, I keep getting interrupted by myself. But yeah, it has its own spells, and then it also has all the spells from Elemental, and it just has way too many buttons.
Yeah, it just has too many buttons. Button bloat.
Button bloat.
Alright.
Arms, warrior. God, Arms is... How do I put this?
Arms is just boring.
Arms is just boring.
It's a auto attack spec in a game that is DDR. So you have 10,000 buttons, but you can only hit one every like 10 seconds unless you're in a raid fight.
Yeah. I like constantly pressing buttons, but one, Arms has too many buttons. It's getting button bloat.
It's had button bloat.
It's had button bloat for a while, where it's just, okay, you have to hit Mortal Strike, you have to hit Colossus Smash, you have to hit whatever the other fucking buttons are that I just can't think of right now. It has so many buttons. It's not fun.
Okay. Beast Mastery Hunter.
Beast Mastery Hunter. I think Beast Mastery Hunter is neat in concept of having 2 pets at all times.
Well, that's not the class fantasy anymore. It hasn't been for a while.
Yeah, now they summon a bunch of pets all the time.
Yeah.
They're just Demonology Warlock, but with hunter pets.
Beast Mastery Hunter has 3 main pets, and then you summon a bunch of dire stable beasts.
Yeah. Or bees. You can take the glyph of bees.
Yeah. It certainly is a melee spec that can attack from 40 yards away.
It's just so boring, too. Like, there's a
You can fit their entire
Fuck.
rotation on one bar, and that's what you use for single target and AoE.
What's the... You can fit it all on one spectrum of classes that have too few buttons and classes that have too many. Shamans are the too many. Arms Warrior is the too few. Or,
Nope.
Not Arms Warrior, sorry. Beast Mastery Hunter.
Yep.
Like, you have 3 buttons in your main rotation of Serpent Sting,
Oh, we're calling them out.
the button that makes your pets attack,
Serpent
and Barb
Sting,
Shot.
Kill Command, Barb Shot.
Oh, and when they take it, the multi-shot. Because they don't always take multi-shot, which is insane to me.
You have to take multi-shot to get Beast Cleave, so yeah, if you're in single target, you don't take it.
I think they have a way to get Beast Cleave without it, but
Nope.
whatever. We'll look into it. Whatever. You're probably right.
I can't look up Hunter class tree anymore because the 11.1 stuff will come up.
Oh, you're so true. Yeah, it's just boring.
Yep. Havoc Demon Hunter.
Havoc Demon Hunter. I liked it before. It's the same issue as a lot of classes, is just the button bloat.
What?
Before, I mean, I can log into my Demon Hunter right now.
My problem with Havoc Demon Hunter started in Shadowlands. The Vinthyr ability became so good that the entire class became built around it. And once they started building it around Sinful Brand, or whatever they renamed it to now, then they started getting really into like momentum.
Yeah.
The thing that made it so that whenever you do your movement abilities, you increase your damage. And then they started making it so that you're in like your
Immolation
aura gets buffed from using your movement stuff.
No.
So it just became
Immolation aura
entirely...
buffs your movement stuff, and then you get momentum and damage from it, and then you want to just keep that up.
Yeah. So it just entirely became around like using your dash through enemies, and I hate forced movement.
And doing
so I
your
could never play
backflip.
it again. Yeah.
Yeah, it had so much going on.
Well, no, I don't agree on the button bloat thing.
You mama.
I just don't like forced movement. That's all it is now.
Yeah. Forced movement, way too much. If World of Warcraft wanted to... Why did I log into my fucking Warlock? Jesus Christ.
Alright, Fire Mage.
Fire Mage.
Do you like combustion?
No.
Do you like having 7 fire blasts?
No.
Do you like jumping during your rotation because you can't perfectly time when your fireball is going to hit the enemy?
No.
Because it's projectile based, so you have no idea when it's actually going to hit, and you have to wait for that hit in order for your second hot streak to come in so that your pyroblast is instant cast?
No.
Do you like your Phoenix Flame being a fire blast, but it's a projectile, so you also have to wait for it to hit the target before you get your second hot streak?
And it's also AoE.
Do you like having to use the Night Fae ability at all times so that you can reduce the cooldown of your combustions in order to, instead of deal like 1,000 damage, do 10 million damage?
No.
Do you like your AoE rotation being just Pyroblast again?
No.
Instead of using like the Flame Strike, because Flame Strike leaves a pool on the ground, and staying in one spot is cringe, so you just have to keep doing Pyroblast?
No.
Alright, cool. Fire Mage is bad. Moving on.
Yeah.
Shadow Priest.
I have loved Shadow Priest for so long.
They're bringing back Shadow Orbs.
No, they're not.
Bringing back Shadow Orbs. This is our season.
Shadow Priest has struggled with its identity for so long.
They made Sacrifice Yourself the thing that kills you after your void form ends.
Oh, the insanity thing.
Yeah.
Fuck, what was that called? I don't remember.
They had Shadow Orbs, which was okay, start from the beginning. In Classic, they were terrible, but they were a fun spec because they were good in PvP. They had Mind Flay, they had CC. It was terrible. You
the
ran out
only
of
good
mana,
one
you
in
died.
PvP was Undead, though, because it gave you another dot.
A Devouring Plague, yes. And then TBC hits, everyone gets Devouring Plague. You get the mana recovery stuff so that you're a great support class.
It gives everyone else mana recovery. Well,
Yes.
and yourself, yeah.
And then Wrath of the Lich King comes out. You're now broken. You're the best spec to exist ever. Everyone has fun with it. And then Cataclysm came out. Everyone got reworked. Everyone got new defensives. Blah, 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 blah. You're all right.
Shadow Orbs!
And then Miss Pandaria comes out. You get your Shadow Orbs and dog shit.
Shadow Orbs was in Cataclysm.
Yeah, you get Shadow Orbs and Cataclysm. Is Miss Pandaria when they went to Insanity instead of Shadow Orbs?
No.
All right, you get to be a boring class in Miss Pandaria.
Yeah, Miss Pandaria was just Cataclysm 2.0 for them.
Is WoD Insanity?
I have no idea. I didn't play in WoD.
No one cares about WoD. And then Legion, you get your artifact weapon. You have Insanity. You get Sacrifice to Madness or whatever it's called, where you die at the end of it. Surrender to Madness. And then you have that play style. Everyone loves it, except the people who don't want to play Shadow Priest. Because Shadow Priest is the best, and you have to do the blah, 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 blah. And then after Legion, you have what it is now of, oh god, we can't let Surrender to Madness be good, but we also can't remove it because everyone likes it. And then they decided to just remove Void Form. So yeah, they made a spec, people liked it, they decided to kill the spec, people didn't like it, and they've just been trying to chase that high of Void Form without giving Void Form back, because then they would have to admit they're wrong. Alright, Holy Priest, how do you feel about it?
So I don't get to say my last thoughts on Shadow Priest. Holy Priest?
What are you gonna say about Shadow? I was joking.
I mean, you're taking over this whole thing, so...
Oh, true. How dare I have opinions?
And not let me have opinions, correct.
Correct.
Yeah, I really like Shadow Priest. The big issue that I have...
You like Shadow Priest in concept and lore.
Okay, so Holy Priest.
You don't like the gameplay.
Since I don't get to talk about Shadow Priest.
You don't like the gameplay. Tell me one thing Shadow Priest does better than Affliction Warlock, gameplay-wise.
Nothing.
There you go. That's what I mean.
Yeah, so I'm not allowed to talk about it. So Holy Priest.
Tell me what you have to say about Shadow Priest.
No, because every time I yeah. So
don't be wrong.
So Holy Priest, I like it because it's just a basic, easy to learn, mid difficulty to master, I guess, healer, where it's just you want to heal, cast heal. You want to AoE heal, you use whatever the fucking AoE heal is. You want to deal damage, you have 2 spells, Smite and Holy Fire.
Hey babe, when was the last time you played a Holy Priest?
I played it while I was leveling my priest from 70 to 80.
Okay, you have 2 different buttons that give your tank mitigation. Do you remember what they are?
Guardian Angel, and I don't remember what the other one is.
Okay, do you remember what their 3 big healing cooldowns are?
Halo.
No.
Their hero talents are focused around Halo.
Yeah, but that's not a major cooldown.
Okay. Power Word Radiance?
That's one of them.
Power Word Salvation, the big heal. I don't remember what the last one is.
The one that you can take instead of like the 10-minute power word where you become like an angel.
Oh, yeah.
As I've said before, healers have to be proactive and reactive. Holy Priest is the opposite of Resto Druid, where they actually did it correctly and actually gave them proactive buttons. The Guardian Spirit thing of like, if they die, then they come back, and if they don't die, you get the cooldown back, was a cool idea 2 expansions ago, and they've just made that the entirety of the like spec. So it's a World of Warcraft healer. You're playing DDR. Everything you do has to be like 7 different buttons. You have to keep up with every other healer without any of the like. Priest is terrible because of the fact that it can't cleanse half the things that other specs can, and they've decided to make everything a curse when priests are the best at removing magic effects, and everyone can remove magic effects now.
Mass Dispel.
Yeah.
And they just hate Mass Dispel, so they increase the cooldown of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I like Holy Priest because it's just a simple healer. It does what I want it to do as a healer. I don't want to have to do all this extra shit.
You have to do all this extra shit.
I realize you have to do that now. Okay, anyways. Holy Paladin. Holy Paladin has 2 different builds. One where it's just a pure caster. So people have taken that to mean, oh yeah, I don't have to do DPS. so they just heal the entire time and just stand there. Or you can, go in, put down your consecration to give healing and a little bit of damage reduction, and use judgment so that when people hit the enemy, they heal. And Holy Paladin is like the melee version of Holy Priest, where it's just simple in concept. Okay, you're looking at me.
I'm sorry, no, continue. I didn't realize we were just bringing up random things that specs can do.
I'm trying to explain why I like the class.
Okay.
But I'm not allowed to say that.
I did not stop you in any way.
No, say what you're going to say. You're going to tell me that I'm wrong, and you're going to tell me what the class actually does. But that's not the point. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Do you remember what Light of the Martyr does now?
No.
It's the talent passive that makes it so that whenever the Paladin themselves is above 80% health, every one of their heals now uses a portion of their health in order to buff everyone else. Do you remember what their Beacon of Faith does?
No.
Are you just saying this because you think I'm going to say you're wrong for everything you say, or do you actually
not remember? Is Beacon of Faith the temporary one where when you heal someone, it also heals them?
I don't remember the exact names, but there's Beacon of Faith, which is you choose someone and they receive a portion of your healing, and if they're the person you're healing, you get a holy point whenever you heal them. Then there's it's now a choice node between these two that I'm about to say. You can either put it on 2 people, where the second person receives like 15% less healing from your shared healing thing, or you can take the one that makes it so that everyone in a 5-person group now has the Beacon of Faith, but it's temporary, so it's a cooldown that you use.
Yeah, and then you also have. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. Keep going.
Okay. And then you have your 2 options of wings. One of them is just a healing increaser. So like when you pop it, your heals heal more. And then the other wings is whenever you deal damage, you heal the people around you. And that also procs your Beacon of Faith. So if you have the AoE one, it blah, 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 blah. It is almost purely a DPS that also happens to heal. A lot of your damaging stuff heals. Your Judgment doing the thing where like whenever your targets hit the enemy, they heal isn't a thing anymore. They changed that out for the old Disc Priest Smite ability, where when you throw your Judgment at a target, that target now has a debuff that absorbs the amount of damage that they deal.
Yeah.
So that's how they do that. You are almost entirely focused on DPSing. Any spec where you don't do that, I've never heard of, talked about. You attack in order to build up holy power, and your holy power, you can either use it on Word of Glory, which is your single target heal, or Light of Dawn, which is your AoE heal. And Light of Dawn has a bunch of passives that make it so that like the less people you heal, the more you heal, and blah 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 blah. You can put heal absorbs on yourself to make it so that you heal more, and then if you get rid of those heal absorbs on yourself, you then heal more and stuff like that. It's my favorite healer in the game, because of the fact that it is basically just a melee DPS that heals on the side. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Mistweaver. Honestly, I think I'd move Mistweaver down, because I really liked it back in Legion when I came back to the game, where you focused your healing beam on one person, you had the healing statue, and when you were targeting on someone, it would help you heal them. If they were at a certain percent, they would heal other people. But now Mistweaver just has to play DDR, where you gotta put buffs on people, use your damaging abilities, and then it spreads healing to everyone, and it doesn't feel good.
Mistweaver is a combination of Holy Paladin and Disc Priest, where you have to put your atonements on targets in order for your melee stuff to heal them. It's incredibly annoying. Soothing Mist, you used to be able to move that and move, which was a really fun thing to do, because it makes a lot of your stuff instant cast, and if you had your heal over times on other targets, your heals would spread. But ever since Fist Weaving became popular, they just fucking removed all of that fun stuff. So yeah, I don't like Mistweaver. I agree with you.
Prot Warrior. Prot Warrior, starting to get a bit of bum bloat. Yeah, Prot Warrior is basically the tanking version of Holy Priest, where it's just a simple to learn tank, and you just gotta make sure you got Ignore Pain, use the short cooldown shield block.
Mm-hmm.
Use that when you're expecting big damage, and yeah, just do DPS. And
Shield block is a DPS cooldown. It increases the damage of your shield slam.
You are absolutely correct.
You don't use that for tank busters.
All right then. Yeah, Prot Warrior is just a pretty basic tank.
Yeah, it used to be.
Vengeance Demon Hunter. It used to be one of my favorite tanks, and button bloat is an issue because they decided, oh yeah, you like the Kyrian ability with the giant sigil that did a shitload of damage all at once. Yeah, you get that. Oh, you liked the hunt from Night Fae? Yeah, you get that.
They took the hunt?
You take both.
Oh, I had no idea they took hunt.
Yeah, they typically use hunt to start combat because it also deals damage to enemies around.
Oh.
And yeah, it just has a lot going on that I'm not really a fan of. And they're big, they use Immolation Aura, Demon Spikes, the flame thing that they would put on targets.
Flame brand?
Yeah, fiery brand. They have the regular sigil, Sigil of Flame. They've got Sigil of Silence.
Sigil of Chains.
I don't think they take Sigil of Chains that often.
True.
Neither does Blood Death Knight. They don't take Orphean's Grasp. Which is also fucked up that they did that. And they also tried to give that to warriors, and people were like, no, you can't do that. That's so fucked up.
No,
but
I'm pretty sure everyone said they should do it.
Anyways, yeah, Vengeance Demon Hunter, it just has a lot going on. It does a lot of lifesteal, which I really like in concept, because they do it better than Blood Death Knight. But they're trying to make it so that they also generate shields, and they heal, and they do blah 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 blah. It is very mobile, and it seems to still have a bit of that identity of gain aggro and then just kite everything like they used to, and people fucking hate that.
Can you guess the one button that made me never touch Vengeance Demon Hunter again? Well, it's not guessing because we've had this conversation multiple times, but...
You think I remember? I don't remember.
They built an entire hero talent around it.
Oh, Throw Glaive.
Throw Glaive.
Yeah.
I can't fucking stand Throw Glaive. I can't stand Glaive Tempest. I can't stand anything about Vengeance Demon Hunter right now.
I didn't mind Throw Glaive because it was their option for attacking at a distance.
Hate it.
But building an entire class around it sucks. Like, I'm just gonna have a quick side tangent. Dragonflight. Havoc Demon Hunter had one of their tier sets be focused around Throw Glaive, but the way they made it not suck, where you didn't have to spam Throw Glaive, is that every time you used Blade Dance, you would Throw Glaive a couple of times. And it would put it on cooldown, so you just never touch Throw Glaive, and just use Blade Dance for it. But Vengeance doesn't really have that as an option. So, Feral Druid. Feral Druid is your favorite.
Sure is.
I think it's neat in concept. They've fixed a lot of the issues with it of, did they have button bloat before? I don't remember if Feral had button bloat before.
In what way? I'm sorry. You have to understand that Feral Druid is a part of Druid. So we had like 30 different buttons that you didn't use ever as Feral, but they were in your spellbook because you're playing a Druid. So technically, if I were to put every button from a druid on my bar, no matter what spec, I'd have button bloat. But because I'm a feral, I just didn't use any of them.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of that. And so now I only have my feral buttons. So I would say no, there's not a lot of button bloat.
I think the big issue that I had with feral is that the only like defensive you have is what, survival instincts? So
survival instincts, frenzied regeneration would auto proc, but now you can actually use it. Bark skin.
Yeah, most of the time when I see feral druids expecting big damage, they go into bear form.
That is an option.
They go into bear form, tank the damage, and switch back.
Because that was the only way you could use frenzied regeneration.
Yeah. I think it's fine. To me, feral just seems kind of like the bleed-only version of assassination rogue, which I do enjoy, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Yeah, feral druid is fine. That's why it's in the middle of B tier.
And also because I forced her to put it there.
And you also forced me to play it, and yeah, I don't mind it all that much.
You did like a single dungeon.
I did a couple of dungeons with it. Anyways, I'm just not a big fan of druid in general. That's the whole thing.
20% of feral druid's damage comes from dots. 80% comes from the buffs you get from your targets having dots.
Yeah. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Some people play the other fucking hero talents. So they do actually play a dot build. I want them all dead.
I just realized that augmentation isn't on this list. We made this list before augmentation existed.
No.
Or, no, we made it
just
after.
wasn't on the tier list.
Yeah, it wasn't on the tier list, but I think I put it right next to devastation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Outlaw Rogue. God, it is...
Did you get heads or tails?
Did it land on its side?
Did you get heads or tails? Did you deal damage or did you get the buff? Did you get heads or tails? How many times did you get it in a row? How many times? Was it 7? Did you get
That's heads.
Did you get your full hero talent buff?
It landed on heads.
Now,
so...
a slight spoiler because I think it's funny. How would you feel if that Outlaw hero talent thing was every single tier set next expansion? I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, how would you feel if every class was flipping a coin on every button?
I don't like the flipping the coin. I don't mind roll the bones because I think it's kind of fun, and
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It makes you have to what's the word? God, my brain doesn't work. It makes you have to improvise. So, depending on the buff you get, ultimately it doesn't really matter all that much. You keep doing your rotation, but if you get like the one that gives you more combo points, then you can just use your finishers more often. If it gives you the one that reduces cooldowns, you just use your big cooldowns more often. That's really it. The big issue that I have with Outlaw right now is that it has to spam Vanish all the time in combat.
Well, that's every class.
No. Outlaw is the only one right now that actually takes the two charges of Vanish, and it's the only one that actually has to spam it like every 30 seconds. Assassination just has the one charge, and it just does it when it needs to, when like its big cooldowns are back up. I don't remember when Subtlety uses it, but
they're always in stealth.
Yeah, exactly. So they only use Vanish to like get out of combat, or if they need like a hard reset of their stealth to get their cooldowns back up. Because Subtlety has... Oh, and also Outlaw has the talent that resets their cooldowns when they use Vanish.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they do their big damage.
Yeah, every stealth class wants to be in stealth for the entire time they're in combat.
Yeah.
Assassination also wants to be in stealth at all times because it makes a lot of their bleeds AoE, and it buffs their damage. So they definitely want to be in stealth.
I don't really like where Outlaw is at right now. Or, it used to be called Combat, now it's called Outlaw. I like the theme of it, of you're a pirate, you have the pistol, and you just shoot them every once in a while. I liked the theme of it back in, I think it was Shadowlands, where you were mostly just pistol shot, just generating a bunch of stacks of it to shoot it like 6 times in a row.
That legendary was good.
That was so much fun.
That was good, yeah.
And now it's just, let's go gambling. And yeah, it's not that fun anymore. Assassination Rogue, however, is my favorite rogue spec. It seems to be struggling with its identity a bit, because they want it to be more than what it is, but I think it's fine where it is, and it just...
She likes Poison Bomb.
They really fucked up Rogue when they did the class tree rework, and they all had to take Shadow Dance. It felt horrible then. Now they got rid of that, and only Subtlety gets Shadow Dance now. But it just... Now it has 3 times the energy of all of them. Now it has 300 energy, whereas the other ones have 100. I think Outlaw has 150. That doesn't matter. And now their whole thing is they spend energy to deal more damage. If they get low on energy, they automatically drink the tea to get 100 back. And if you run out of charges of that, the gameplay just slows down. They regenerate energy with their bleeds and poisons being on the target, but in single target, it doesn't regenerate all that fast. It's not that good. They really seem to like Kingsbane, which is just bleeds and poison and combo point spenders make it deal more damage, so it has a nice short burst window. But yeah, it just doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. So Augmentation and Devastation, both. I haven't really played them all that much. I kind of rushed to get it to level 80 using the anniversary event with the classic time walking. Everything dies in like 2 hits, so you don't really get to feel the full oomph of your stuff. Augmentation is fine. It's a fun support spec where you put a shield on the tanks that also, when they get hit, they deal spikes damage to their target. That's neat. I like that. They buff the DPS and make them just have more stats, more crit, more versatility. So just flat damage buff. Healers, they give them mana back, so they're really good for healers that are, struggle with mana or really intensive fights. Yeah, it's the only support class in the game, and it does what it does. It's just kind of middle of the road for me. I don't really want to play support. I want to be top of the damage meter. I want to have an augmentation evoker in my group to buff me. That's really it. Devastation is interesting. It's a new concept for a class where you just hold a charge to power up your spells to make them do bonus effects. So like Flame Breath does a small bit of damage and then a bunch over time, or you can charge it, make it do a bunch of damage immediately and less over time. Most of the time you just do the single charge. Essence Burst. Single charge hits 2 targets. You can charge it up and it'll hit more. You really only do that in a big group of enemies. They're pretty mobile. They also have the give your healers some mana when they use their charge up spells.
Empower?
Empower. Yeah. Yeah, they're fun to play around with, but I'm just kind of meh about it in general. I do kind of want to gear mine up and see how I feel about it with the hero talents and everything. But as it stands right now, it's just, it exists. You know, it's a fun little thing to mess around on. It's a fallback, I guess.
Once again, people listening from the future, very funny. All right, Arcane Mage. How the fuck is it this high?
It's very fun to level with. It is horribly balanced while leveling. It does way too much damage. I kind of like where it is right now, where you have the big spell that spends all of your mana. The more mana it spends, the more damage it does. And then it just regenerates mana. Yeah, it's just kind of fun. You have arcane missiles, which you spend a lot of. It was a pretty simple mage before. They're adding more stuff to it now, so I fear that it's going to just keep getting more and more and make it more complicated. But as it stands right now, it's a pretty simple DPS to learn. Hard to master, because you have to keep an eye on your mana and use your cooldowns at specific moments. But I really like in Mythic Plus, you throw your Arcane Orb, do a barrage, throw your Arcane Orb, do a barrage, and you can just keep doing that over and over and over again. I think that's really fun. In single target, yeah, you just focus on your spells, you kind of get into a rhythm. Yeah, I like it. Why are you looking like that?
I fucking hate Arcane Mage.
I'm sure you do.
Alright, let's start from the beginning. The things that you said. Arcane Barrage, you take a talent that has a chance for each arcane point you spend to send out an Arcane Orb. So if you're in AoE, there's a chance that you just Arcane Barrage, get an Arcane Orb, it hits 4 enemies, Arcane Barrage, you get an Arcane Orb, blah, 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 blah.
I think that's fun.
They came up with a good idea in BFA of a trinket called the Font of Mana, which you effectively channeled for like 5 seconds before every pull, and that gave you int. And mages loved that so much, they decided, oh hey, let's just give Arcane Mage Font of Power. And so they put that on their evocation. The thing that you spin around.
Evocation.
Yeah, so you pre-pull evocation. So unless the fight lasts for 2 minutes, you don't have evocation in combat. So instead, they give you a second evocation, which is the spell that she talked about, which used all of your mana, which you don't use when you're full mana. You want to pop your damage increasing stuff, use that, and then you begin your dog shit gameplay. You have Arcane Missiles is now a proc system, because of the fact that people who didn't understand the class would just use Arcane Missiles in single target the whole time. So they fucked it up and made it a proc thing. Arcane Blast is the same as ever, but now there's like 17 different passives.
Yeah.
And the reason why I hate the class, they designed a spell that made it so that whenever you deal single target damage, if either the target dies or the time runs out, all of the arcane damage you dealt to the target will explode out, dealing AoE damage. They decided they liked this so much, they gave you 3 of them.
Mark of the Magi. I don't remember the other one. The third one is actually just, it deals damage to the target and to targets around it. It actually doesn't stack up. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Having 2 of them sucks.
Arcane Mage to be single target. The problem with it being single target is the game is balancing around Mythic Plus and like dungeon content more and more. So they had to give it AoE, but they didn't want to just make the class Arcane Explosion every time you go into Mythic Plus like it was before. So they gave them Touch the Magi, and I hate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to love Arcane Mage, hate it now.
Yeah. Demonology Warlock. I like the theme of you just summon a bunch of demons and every once in a while you get a big demon. I don't really like the system of you summon all of your demons, then you summon a big demon to extend the amount of time they're out. I like the hero talent of, I think it's Hellcaller? No. Diabolist? I think it's Diabolist.
People from the future, this is very funny.
Mm-hmm, you keep saying that. I like how you get an empowered Hand of Gul'dan to call down a giant meteor, a bigger meteor than you normally send down. And then the flame bitch is whatever. I just like the really big meteor. I'm not as fond of Demonology Warlock anymore, actually. I think Affliction is still my favorite. But I think I'd put Destruction as my second and move Demonology down. It's fine. It's just not as fun. Yeah, it's... I don't understand Implosion. I don't understand when I'm supposed to use Implosion or how, but I seem to do just fine damage if I don't use it. But, yeah, whatever. Any comments?
I liked Demonology before, I don't like it now. They made it an entirely luck-based spec. Everything you do has a 15% chance to blah, 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 blah. Your demon portals can randomly summon Prince Malkuth, blah, blah, blah. Your imp gang can summon an imp gang boss, blah, 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 blah. Your abilities can summon one of the 2 bosses from Antorus, blah, 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 blah. They fucking got rid of the instant cast dogs for some reason.
No, you still have that. It's just a proc.
Sorry, the proc is still there. It's not like a 50% chance to give you Demon Core or something. They nerfed something about it. I don't remember exactly what it was.
You have a chance to get an instant cast of the big shadow.
Yeah, that's
Shadow Blast. And it gives you 2 soul shards instead of 1.
It used to be it was guaranteed for each one that died, but now it's not.
Yeah.
I hate that it's entirely luck based now.
Can you click on that one?
Sure. Yeah, I used to like it, I don't anymore.
Ooh, he looks cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Windwalker Monk. Holy shit. 1, button bloat. They're bringing back old spells. They want you to have Rushing Jade. Well, no, actually, I'm so sorry. Let me back up. You used to take Rushing Jade Wind. I fucking hate Rushing Jade Wind. Now they made it so that when you use, I think it's Rising Sun Kick, it's just automatically put on you. I love that. I don't understand why they can't give that to Brewmaster, but we'll get there when we get there. Priests have a spell called Power Infusion, where it just gives your target a bunch of haste. They nerfed it. It used to be 30%, now I think it's like 15. Because you always wanted a priest in your group, because it would give your best DPS Power Infusion to make them deal more or to, cast spells faster, which made them deal more damage, and blah, 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 blah. Windwalker was the worst recipient of that because haste did nothing for them. Typically, haste will make you cast your spells faster and auto attack faster if you're melee. It did nothing for Windwalker except, I think, increase their energy regeneration. But now, Windwalker has the effect of haste now makes your Fists of Fury deal more damage and deal the damage quicker, I think.
Why do you know so much or care at all about Windwalker?
Oh, because I love Windwalker. It's actually pretty fun now. But yeah, they're kind of the black sheep of the class family. They have Storm, Earth, and Fire, which splits them up. They changed how it works, so now you don't have to use your big damage dealing ability at the end of it, because it was glitched, and all 3 would deal full damage. They fixed that, from what I understand. It's fun, but it's getting more buttons, and I just... yeah, it's getting too many buttons, and it's having combos now of, like, the Thunderlord Fist, the Legion artifact ability. Now when you use it, it empowers your abilities to deal more damage, and you just have to use it in a certain way. I still think Windwalker is pretty fun, though. Any thoughts?
I don't give a shit about Windwalker.
Fair enough. So now we're in A tier. Prot Paladin. I like Prot because, one, they throw their shield, and I think that's really funny. To me, Prot Paladin is just Prot Warrior, but with holy magic, less buttons, and they can actually do a bit of support stuff. They get free uses of Word of Glory to either heal themselves for a big chunk, or heal their allies for a big chunk. They have all the other Paladin abilities. Prot Paladin and Guardian Druid are the only two Death Knight. They can all battle res. Yeah, Prot Paladin is just fun. Any thoughts?
Prot Paladin is really good.
Yeah. Fury Warrior. I would move Fury Warrior down because they're giving it more buttons. Before, it was just the simple Unga Bunga class of just you keep hitting buttons and you just deal good damage. I don't know if it's still an issue, but before, they made it so that you would just spam Raging Blow, the 2-hit, and you would never use Bloodthirst?
Bloodthirst is their other generator.
Yeah. They made it so that you would, like, never use Bloodthirst, and you would just spam Raging Blow and then use the Rampage, the 4-hit combo. I don't really remember too much of what it does now, but I feel like it's starting to get button bloat because it wants the artifact ability, it wants shit from Shadowlands. It needs to be simple, just unga bunga. Thoughts?
I have not looked at Fury Warrior since Dragonlands.
Fair enough. Frost Death Knight. So, I used to play Death Knight a lot, like, ever since I came back in Legion. I played Death Knight in Wrath. I switched to Shadow Priest near the end of Wrath, and played it in Cataclysm, or played Shadow Priest in Cataclysm and in Mists of Pandaria. Came back to the game, and I played pretty much just Death Knight, from Legion into BFA, Shadowlands, Dragonflight. I wanted to do something different for War Within, and Affliction Warlock seemed to be that. I typically played Unholy, but there were a couple of times where Frost was just, like, way better, so I switched to it. Like, Shadowlands, I think it was the third patch with, the Jailer. They fucked up the tier set so bad for Unholy, so I switched to Frost, and I enjoyed it. I don't really like that you can choose between dual wield or use a two-hander and have different playstyles for both. I think it's really fucked it up because there's usually a clear defined winner between the two. I like Breath of Sindragosa. I like dual wielding. I liked how you had to really try hard to keep Breath of Sindragosa going pretty much the entire fight. I thought that was super fun. And now they're like, we don't like that. So now it's just a short burst, and you can't keep it going forever. Or you can just play the Obliteration build with two-hander and just use your abilities. No Breath of Sindragosa, no fun, no. I think Frost is, like, really good right now for War Within. But I haven't really played that much of Death Knight this expansion, because I wanted to play Warlock instead. But I'll probably gear it up and see how I feel about it. Any thoughts?
I've never touched Death Knight.
He doesn't like the rune system. He doesn't like the runes with, runic power. even though it's pretty much just energy and combo points.
But backwards, which is cringe.
But backwards, yeah. But yeah, Frost is fun. I like the dual wield, but it seems like most of the time recently, it's just been two-hander is better. So, yippee. Unholy Death Knight. I love the theme of it. You have a permanent pet, you summon more pets, you summon an army of pets, you empower your pets. It was so much fun. And then they brought back Gargoyle, which honestly wasn't too bad. You just had to focus on spending your runic power. It's getting more buttons, which I don't like. It's fine for it to have the execute, but they've changed it so much. Before, it generated wounds on your enemies. I should also say, Unholy is a pretty busy spec, because you have your runes, your runic power, and you also build up wounds on the enemy, and then you burst the wounds for bonus effects. I like that, because it all seems to meld together really well. But then they made it so that their runic power spender would also burst the wounds, and your pet generates wounds, so you have to improvise in that situation. You don't want to cap your runes, you don't want to cap your runic power, you don't want to cap your wounds. And I think now you pick between Gargoyle and empowering your pets, or... No, I think you summon an abomination instead of an army. Yeah, it's either Gargoyle or turn your army of the dead to the undead abomination, which spreads your dot and blah blah blah. It's advancing, just not in the way I want it to. They need to get rid of some of the button bloat, and it just needs to have a clear identity and stick to it. But Unholy is still really fun. One of my favorites. I don't remember why I put Brewmaster in S tier.
Because you were gonna try and level it.
Right.
It was the one tank you didn't, like, immediately bounce off of the idea of actually leveling it and trying it in dungeons.
Yeah. I don't mind Brewmaster. You stagger the damage, and then you clear that stagger with your drink. And you can give yourself a shield. I don't like Rushing Jadewind. I don't like having to hit it so often.
Don't.
You hit it every 6 seconds.
They got rid of it. It's a
No, passive. It's not. Brewmaster still has Rushing Jadewind. Mistweaver still has Rushing Jadewind, but they don't take it because it's terrible. It does terrible damage and terrible healing. Brewmaster still takes it, but most people just take Exploding Keg instead, where whenever you drink your stagger clear or the shield, you toss a keg, and after like a second or two, it lands on the ground and deals damage. It kind of sucks when you have to move, because then the kegs typically miss, because they don't track, they just go where you were. Yeah, Brewmaster is fun in concept. It has a bit of button bloat, and... yeah, it's decent. And then do you have anything to say about Brewmaster?
No.
Okay. And then Affliction. Oh, baby. We were gone for so long, now we're back because they buffed us.
It was never bad.
It still struggles a bit in AoE because it has to use all of its cooldowns. One is 30 seconds, one is a minute, one is a 2-minute cooldown. So you either want like a big pack of enemies to do that on, and most of the time people just do like single pulls, which really sucks. You have a ton of dots, so it's sorry, dot means damage over time, for those of you that don't know. I should have said that a while ago. You have your corruption, which is permanent on your target now. You always take that for every situation. So you use Seed of Corruption, deal damage to Puppet, and put Corruption on everything. You have Agony, which you can use Vile Taint to put it on 5 targets. I don't know why it's target capped. That really sucks, and I hate that. You have Unstable Affliction, can only be on 1 target. You have Haunt, which isn't technically damage over time, but it lasts for a short time, and it makes you deal more damage to the targets. And then you have Soul Rot, which goes on, I think, 8 targets? But then it makes it so that your Soul Shard spender, Malefic Rapture, increases the duration of your dots 3 times. So you just pop everything, then you summon your Dark Glare, which is a 2-minute cooldown, which extends the duration. Use Malefic Rapture to extend things 3 more times. And yeah, you build, you spend. It's super fun, super busy. You have a filler spell and drain life, or drain soul. And every once in a while, you get a buff that makes it so that you drain soul faster. Oh my god, it feels so good. I love it. It's so good.
Alright.
So yeah.
So now that we're done...
Do you want me to get rid of it?
Believe me.
It's right there.
Right here.
That's why I left it scrolled there.
Alright.
Now we're going to build a tier list
now
again. Or are you going to build it?
I'm going to build it. Where's the old tier list? Is it in the...
I mean, it was on the screen.
Yeah, but we want them to be able to see this.
Okay.
There we go. Alright. So now, where does Resto Shaman go?
Well, they can't see that.
Well, I know.
Okay.
Because they're seeing the new tier list.
Okay. Resto Shaman, D tier.
D tier? Okay. Where does Boomkin go?
D tier.
Okay. Where does Elemental Shaman go?
If they got rid of some of the button bloat, I'd put it in C, but I think it still has to be in D tier.
Okay. Where does Disc Priest go?
Disc Priest... I'm gonna put it in D, actually. After playing it while leveling and playing it a bit at max level, still not a fan.
Is it better than an Elemental?
Put it next to, Resto Shaman.
Alright. Preservation.
I'd still keep that in C tier.
Resto Druid.
Resto Druid, D tier. Under Discipline.
Guardian.
Honestly, I think I put it in B tier. It's not bad, but it's not great.
Blood.
Blood. Put it under Guardian.
Destruction.
It has potential. Destruction, put that in A.
Frost.
Frost Mage, C tier. Marksman. C tier. No, D tier. In between Elemental and Boomkin.
Subtlety.
Top of C tier.
Survival.
Survival. Right next to Subtlety. To the right of it.
Rat.
B tier. Above the tanks.
Enhancement.
Put it in D tier, right next to Elemental. To the left of it.
So better.
I think I like it a bit better.
Arms.
Bottom of C tier.
Beast Mastering.
Put Frost ahead of Preservation.
Beast Mastering.
Top of C tier.
Havoc.
Bottom of B tier.
Fire.
Just ahead of Frost.
Shadow.
Top of B tier.
A Holy Priest.
Bottom of B tier.
Holy Paladin.
Put it to the right of preservation.
Mistweaver.
Top of D tier.
Prot Warrior.
Bottom of C. Put it ahead of arms.
Vengeance Demon Hunter.
Top of C tier.
Feral.
You're really putting it in
Outlaw.
D? Okay. Outlaw. Put it ahead of preservation. Ahead of the mages. No, ahead of subtlety. Sorry.
Feral.
Put it just ahead of Outlaw.
Assassination.
Bottom of B tier.
Augmentation Evoker.
Bottom of B.
Devastation Evoker.
Just ahead of augmentation.
Arcane Mage.
Top of C tier. Well, yeah, top of C tier.
Demonology.
Put it right next to the right of Feral.
Windwalker.
A tier. Below Destruction.
Prot Paladin.
I'll keep it in A tier, bottom of A tier.
Fury Warrior.
Just ahead of Arms.
Frost Death Knight.
Put it to the right of Shadow.
Unholy Death Knight.
Put it in A tier. Ahead of top of A tier.
Brewmaster Monk.
Bottom of B tier. Affliction goes to S, baby. And that's my jam.
All right. And that's going to be the end of part 1 of the World of Warcraft patch 11.1.
I'm just going to get rid of that.
We hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it an hour and 30 minutes, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The part 2 is either going to come out the day after this video or the same day, depending on how we feel after we make it the second one.
Part 2.
Thank you for watching.
Have a good one. Goodbye.